Hi everyone, this is John Jones over at ECS Computing Services. This video is going to show you how you can install Windows 10 as a virtual machine on your MacBook or iMac. This video does assume that you've already done two things, which is A, you'll have set up your ECS student account through VMware, which is free. Also, you've downloaded a Windows 10 ISO using your free Microsoft Azure account. I will put links to both of those tutorials in the description of this video, but you can also find those tutorials by going to our ECS webpage, going to the help desk, and then going down to the tutorial section. So let's get started. So if you've installed VMware Fusion, this is VMware Fusion 11, by the way. Go ahead and open it up. And you'll just drag your ISO into the section right there. Go ahead and click continue. You do want to use easy install. It makes things a lot easier. You don't have to enter a lot of stuff during the Windows installation process. This is the account that you will get on the Windows 10 machine. So I'll just call that test. And then when you choose your Windows 10 version, strongly recommend you just use Windows 10 Education because it's actually better than Pro. So just stick with that one. And you don't need to put in the license key. You can at this point, but I'm going to just kind of skip that. So there's two options for sharing files between the Windows VM and the Mac. I'd recommend more isolated. Basically, that just means you'll be able to drag and drop when you need files, but not all files will be visible from the Mac to the Windows 10 VM and vice versa. So I just stick with this one. And so these are the settings that your Windows 10 VM is going to have. As you can see, it's only going to give it 2 GB of RAM. Let me show you the specs that this MacBook actually has. So this is an older MacBook, but we do have 8 gigs of RAM to work with. So ideally, the more the better. Windows 10, the minimum is about 4 GB. So we're going to go change that. Click on Customize Settings to change any of the settings that the VM will have. You can also do this after you've made it, so these aren't set in stone. So let's go to our processors and memory. And you can see that the VM right now is going to have 2 gigs of RAM. The Mac is going to preserve the rest of it. So let's bump that up a bit. Let's split it, give it half. So the MacBook, the Mac OS will now be running, when you're running the VM, the Mac OS will be using 4 gigs of RAM and the VM will be using 4 gigs of RAM. And once we've done that, you also want to double check that the hard disk size is about right. Here's how much space I actually have on this machine. So I only have 60 gigs left. Windows needs at least 20, although more is better, of course. So we'll leave that with 60 for now. And you do want to check that the CD-ROM drive has the Windows ISO in it, because the first time it will use that in order to build it. So let's hit start. And most of this should be, at this point, no user interaction required. For me, this took about 15 minutes. Hopefully it will be less time for you guys. Okay, so we're going to be logging in here automatically. Okay, so here's our new Windows 10 VM. You can treat it just like you would a normal Windows machine. So for example, I'm going to download Firefox. etc., etc. So once you're done with the VM, you can either suspend it or you can shut it down. Suspending basically pauses it, and shutting down is basically shutting down. One thing to note, if you do want to change the settings, you do have to shut down the VM to change any settings. So let's do that right now. For example, if you wanted to change the size of the hard drive or change the RAM after the fact. Let's go back there. Maybe if you have space, obviously you could boost it. As you can see, we now have 5 gigs of RAM, and our hard drive space here is 66 instead of 60. One other thing, this is how you get files and folders from your Mac into the VM. Just drag and drop. And that works the same way on the other side as well. I hope that helps. If you have any more questions, please let us know at ecs-systemsupport@csus.edu.